Yeah, just thought I'd give you an update. As I've been working on the wall, brick wall outside, which is now finished, I've also been continuing to fill sand as needed on the inside. And as you can see now, I'm putting on the first coat of primer. I've done all the cutting in. Sort of hard to tell in this light between the what I've cut in and the plaster fill, but yeah, I've cut in all around the edge there and down around the floor and around the window, and over here I've actually started rolling till about here somewhere and down there, and I'm just going to continue that first coat, and I'll probably have to give that a second coat and then be ready for the top coat, which I'll probably put 2 top coats anyway on top of that. Keep going on the way. Check you later. All right, so that's the first coat done. As you can see, there is still you can still see through the first coat, and that's expected. Yeah, we'll give it another coat and that will seal it all off and prime it ready for the top coat. Yeah, and you probably can't tell through the video again because there's a lot of shading because I have downlights, not sort of, all the lights are sort of spread out. But where the fill is, the coverage has been quite good, but it doesn't quite absorb into the paper as well as it does the fill, because paper is obviously a bit better seal than the fill. But yeah, the second coat should fix that up where you can see the fill mainly on the screw holes there against the paper. Yeah, the second coat will fix that up, and then give it a fine. We should give it 2 coats of colour, and we should be good for the architraves then. All right, so I'll catch you on the second coat. G'day. Just thought I'd give you a little bit of an update. I'm actually putting the first top coat on now. Down the bottom there, you can see the line where I've cut in, and that's the second base coat or primer coat on there. And now I'll put the first top coat up there. It's hard to see in this light, but from here, there you go. That's the primer. There's the top coat there. And I'm using Dulux wash and wear. This is actually a new one. Well, not new now, but when I bought it, was a antibacterial technology to resist mold and bacteria which might trigger asthma. Help you breathe, and it doesn't have any fumes in it either. It's very virtually no fumes when you paint it. It's quite good, especially with it's cold temperatures and you don't want to open up windows. The base coat was a Prep 4-in-1 British paints. Certainly not the dearest, but not the most cheapest either. But it had all the features that the dearer ones had, so that's why I went with that. And this is left over from when we painted the rest of the house, but I would buy Dulux again. It just covers so easily, and really goes on nice, especially if you've got a primer underneath it. It really goes on easy, and it's a nice paint to work with. And I mean, you can look at the paint down the other wall. So I mean, you can't pick much up off of the camera, but it's a really good paint, very durable. Stains wipe off easily. It's worth. I mean, it is probably one of the dearest paints on the market in Australia, and in my book, it's dearer because it's better. it just goes on so much easier. I'm not a professional painter. Other painters might say differently, but I find it goes on so easy, and I like using it, so that's why I buy it, and it's good paint that lasts a long time. So I'm just, and I'm using a little roller because it's only one wall I'm doing. If I was doing multiple walls, I'd use a large size roller. I haven't got one around to sort of show you, but just your general 270mm or 230 roller, but they're about 50mm diameter. This is only like a little 25mm 1-inch diameter roller, and it's probably about just over 200 wide maybe. And the reason I'm using that rather than the bigger roller is because, one, it's easier to fit in the small areas, but it's also it's not going to use up a whole heap of paint because there's not that much wool to use, and when you wash it out, you wash out more paint than virtually have used to paint the wall, sort of thing. So I find it not worth it to use a full-size roller for such a small area. If I was going to do multiple walls and keep going, I'd use the bigger roller, no problem. But that's the reason why I'm using the small one, because it's such a small area, and the amount of paint wastage would be a lot less than that of a big roller. All right, I'm going to get back into it, and I'll come back when I'm done. Cheers. Okay, so there we are. It's all painted in the first coat of the top coat. The colour is antique white, Dulux antique white, as the rest of the house. It's a bit hard to tell in this light, but yeah, and if any patchiness is coming up, it's most likely because some parts are drying where other parts are still wet. Once it fully dries, it'll be a little bit darker, and it'll have more of a flat finish. Though from what I'm seeing through the camera, you really can't sort of tell too much. If we come on the angle, we might be able to see. No, not really. But yeah, there she is. Let that dry. Give it about an hour, and then I should be right to put the second coat on. See you later. All right, so I'm doing a bit on the inside, and I've put the architrave on there, and I was using my old nail gun for finishing, and because I have quite a big gap. I knew I had quite a big gap between the reveal and the next stud, because I put 10mm spaces in there. So for some reason I wanted a 10mm gap all the way around there. That's how I made it. I wasn't confident I was going to get with the I think I had 35mm brads, and I wasn't confident they were going to bite into the framework, the gap. So I went with 60mm brad, and this gun that I've got, I think it's called Trade Air. I bought it from Bunnings quite a long time ago. Hasn't done a lot of work, and yeah, it hasn't really got the nail right into the timber, if you can see it there. See, all the heads are sitting proud. A couple did, like this one and that one. Yeah, but and that one didn't do too bad. But somewhere along the line, we shot out 2 nails at the same time, and that didn't work out too well for me. But anyway, and yeah, like you see the gaps between them. They weren't like that when I started. They were actually a lot closer. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of fill work, but that's no issue. I had a little bit of an issue with fill works in the corners when I did the architrave around that door, because I've also replaced that, and that came up really well. So I have no doubt this will well, but for now I've got to pull these nails out without damaging that, and I've got a flattened punch here that I'm going to use to get them sitting below the surface. I'll go all the way around with that, and yeah, I'll get these nails out. Now you can use pliers to try and pull them out, but I don't want to wreck my paintwork. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pliers on one of the nails, and then I'm going to use it to lever it out. But I'm going to use this plastic trowel or scraper to protect the timber work. They're not that hard to get out. This one's already coming. Just got to get another grip on it. And out she comes. And we'll put that somewhere where we're not going to lose it and step on it. Do the next one. There we go. And we have it marked. I'm obviously going to have to fill that, so we'll get rid of these nails, because when we pulled them out that sort of flared the timber up a little bit. I'll just get the punch. The punch is a bit bigger than the hole. I'll give that a tap. Just to, the reason I'm tapping this in is so that I'll push it in, and that when I fill it, it gives the fill some depth to it, and then I'll sand it flush and paint it again. Because the paint's the same colour as this paint, it's only been recently painted, it should all blend in really well. So we'll continue these high heads, knock them down. And this one went in just about flush, so we just got to knock that a little further under. Same with this one. This is what we were dealing with, and now we're knocking them down below the surface. And you can see that gap there. It's actually, while I've been hammering these in, that gap's opened up a bit. I might see if I can get a block of wood and try and close it up, though the bigger gap will allow me to get the filler in there a little easier. But yeah, I would have liked it to be a bit closer. It was closer. Let me see. And we just, yeah, it's all the same. I'm going to keep going on with that. And yeah, I'll bring you back and we'll show you doing some filling. Check you soon. Alright. This is what I'm using for fill. As you see, it's for plasterboard, wood, concrete, cement, sheets and more. It's sort of a water-based type, but it's quite tacky and dries fairly quickly. I think you can get them in different colours. Not that I bothered because I was always painting it. And yeah, the only thing I don't like about this is it comes in a sort of a small tub, and I would rather it be rectangle because it's pretty hard to get your scraper into that round thing, something minute, but other than that, the product works well and sands well after you've applied it too. I mean, it's pretty basic stuff, putting it in. You just sort of squash it into the because it's quite contoured, and it is quite normal to have to put more than one application on it, because you can get air trapped in there, and then it doesn't sort of sinks in later on when it dries. It is sort of like a putty type consistency. It's not wet. I'm just trying to get it on that corner so that when I go to put it in there, it goes in, and sort of scrape it off. So I'm trying to do this one-handed while holding the camera, and it's not really easy. Now I've made a bit of a mess of that one, but I'll just scrape it off and you can sort of get an idea of how it sort of looks. The camera's quite zoomed in quite far, but there was a little bit of an edge that I missed. Damp rag and wipe that off now, or just give it a light sand, it'll probably flake off. That's sort of what we're getting, and I'll just keep going with that, and then yeah, well, I usually give that a day to dry, and I'll give it a light sand tomorrow. If it needs another application, I'll give it an application. I'm just curious. I can't remember, it's been a long time since I've looked at it, but here we go. Drying time, depending on weather and depth of fill, drying time may vary from 1 to 3 hours in cold weather. So there you go. So 3 hours on, you could come back and try it in 3 hours or 4 hours, 5 hours to be safe. But I just wait till the next day and give it a sand, and it does sand quite nice. Like I said, it's a powder sanding. All right, so I'll keep going with that, and then I'll bring you back when I'll give it a sand, just so you can see. And yeah, we'll continue along with the journey. Catch you soon. All right, not that you can tell, because it's a very watery consistency, but this is the waterproofing. I'm just starting on the second coat. You can see where I've cut in where it's darker and around there, and I'm just doing around the window seal, and I'll cut in down the bottom there, and then I roll the rest there. It goes on really easy. Hardest thing about this waterproofing is the wall has to be dry before you apply it, and they recommend a moisture test, or you can put a bit of plastic on, sticky tape a bit of plastic to the wall when the sun's on it, and then in about an hour or two come back and have a look, and if there's moisture on the inside of that plastic, then your wall's not dry. But yeah, this wall gets hit by the sun in the morning. It's a very sunny day today, and hasn't rained for a couple of days prior to me doing this anyway. And I've got the other part of this that's hard is you need 2 days of dry weather, or the wall needs to be stay dry for 2 days, and possibly 3, but you need 3 days before you can actually paint it, and then it fully cures in 7 days. So yeah, just the preparation and the post-painting situation for your weather, as well as you can't paint it too cold and you can't paint it too hot. It has to be warmer than 12 degrees and not as hot as, no hotter than say 32, 34. So yeah, it's it's more the situation than the job itself. Goes on really, it's like water. The bricks just soak it up, and I think that's the point, is it soaks it up because the bricks are so porous, and then that's how you get the seal when it dries. All right, I'll keep going because it's not really much to see. I'm just painting it on with a brush, and then I roll it on, and it just goes on like water. So yeah, very easy to apply. All right, I'll keep going. All right, this is the stuff I'm using. Got it from Bunnings. Really wasn't a big choice. This is probably the only brand that they had for sealing, but yeah, online reviews and that say that it worked quite well, and it does have a variety of what do you call it, applications, as you can see on there: floors and walls, non-slip, pools, path, patios, walkways, masonry, paving, stone and timber. Don't know if it's any good for plaster, but plaster's quite porous, so yeah, probably maybe would be. One thing you're going to note, because it's such a watery consistency, when you put the product in, well, I've got this bucket to try and keep any dirt that might blow in from the wind. Don't fill it up too high, because if you do it deeper than your roller, your roller fills up with the product, and yeah, it tends to fling it out because it really holds it. As you can see, if I hold that there, no, it's drained out. Yeah, because before I did it quite deep, and I turn it like that, and it just pours out, and it just keeps coming because the roller on the inside is full of the product. So I've done it quite shallow this time, and then if I need more, I'll top it up, which I probably will, but then again, we'll see what happens. And yeah, a really furry type roller to get into those nooks and crannies of the bagging there, and even the brickwork. I'd say if you're painting brickwork, and your brickwork always has a very rough, uneven surface to it, the thick roller will help you get stuff into there, little hairs or brush in there like a brush. All right, so yeah, I'm going to get into it. Just thought I'd mention what I was using, and yeah, there it is. Catch you later. Alrighty, here we are, inside, more or less finished. I know you're going to say, oh, where's the skirting board? But I've left that out on purpose because these tiles are going to get ripped up. So it just gives me better access to an edge to start getting them up. And then we'll sort that out later. Here we are. Filled, sanded and painted, and I think it came up pretty good. As you might remember, we had all gaps in the corners, and that's all disappeared now. Amazing stuff, Phil. The blue tinge is because the outside has still got that blue wrap to protect the window. I've sealed the brickwork on the outside, so that's just a matter of waiting a few days for that to go harden and go off, and then I can paint the outside, and then we're ready for the aircon. So yeah, we're just all done now. We're stoked for this. It's been a little bit in the doing, but we got there, and I think it looks pretty good. So thumbs up, and hopefully I can in next week, because it'll take a few days for that to go off, and I'll be back at work by then, but next week we can paint the outside, and then get that aircon installer back, and we'll be done. We can get this out of the box and up on the wall where it belongs. Catch us again soon. Alright, g'day guys. We're in here today. We've got not a bad day, and it's not supposed to rain today, but yeah, we'll see what happens. It's fairly warm, and I thought I'll start painting the wall. So we've cut in on the window and down the downpipe there. Even though downpipe's the same colour. I've just left the tape on there, and I'll peel it off later and paint the downpipe again. Now, just cutting down the bottom, a little bit more to go, and then we can just got to cut in at the top, and we can start rolling. So yeah, I'm going to keep going, because while I'm doing this you can't really see, and I might set the camera up for when I roll it and just have a look at that. All right, I'll bring you back when we're ready to roll. I don't want to roll too quickly because I don't want to fling the paint. Okay. I don't want to fling the paint everywhere. Okay, I'll bring you in for a bit of look. The sun's decided to come out, so I don't know what the camera view is going to be right, but as you can see, the texture has really come through from the paint now. It's going to look a little uneven because it's all drying still. It's still really wet. When it dries, the colour of the paint will all even out, but I'm already seeing some parts where the brick colour has come through because there's not enough paint on there, but the second coat should take care of that. And yeah, still not sure what I'm going to do here. I may leave the galvanise there, just give it a good clean up, but I do want to paint that mortar in there, so we'll see. Probably get onto that when I'm doing touch-ups. I'll mask off. Yeah, I might mask off the edge of here or under there, I'm not sure just yet, and then paint that mortar in there. And I think I'll leave the galvanising bare. And that was my paint thing falling down. It's a little too heavy for it to be hanging on the edge there. Yeah, so we're going along pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. It's probably see it better now that the sun's gone in, and it's, yeah, that texture has come through, and it's really random, which is what we want. Yeah, once the whole wall's painted, it'll just all blend in really well. This paint that I'm using, I said it was Sol Dulux Weather Shield. It's their new MexiFlex technology. I'm hoping that means that it's more elastic when it dries, so that if the bricks have some movement in them, which they will expand and contract, the paint won't crack, and it'll just sort of flex and move with the building. It's self-priming. It helps reduce mold, dirt stains, long-lasting colour, UV protection, and because this wall cops a lot of sun, so that UV protection is gonna really help keep the paint alive. I mean, that paint there is, I've never touched that up, and that's probably just over 23 years old. That paint from when that was original paint on the house. And that was a Torben's paint. I'm not sure what it was, but yeah, and that still looks pretty good today. Probably could use a bit of a scrub to remove some dirt and stuff that's in the bagging, because the bagging will hold dirt particles. But yeah, it hasn't done too bad up there. The only problem is down here where the water was getting sucked in through the brickwork down low. It always peeled off. But I don't think that's the paint's problem. I think that was the problem. It's just water getting in between the bricks and the paint and breaking the bond that it had on it. Because where it doesn't up top, I really haven't had to touch. It's only been sort of the bottom 2-3 bricks and along the top of the window sill there for some reason. Yeah, I'm not sure why that cracked. Maybe it was because water didn't run off that quick. There's a bit of runoff there, probably more than what I've got over there, unfortunately. But yeah, time will tell, I suppose. Hopefully when I seal that now, the water will just run off. Well, that's all sealed now, so the water should run off it and not penetrate into the brickwork to separate the paint from the bricks. Yeah, for the paintwork from the bricks. So I'm pretty happy. It's a lot brighter, the fresh paint. It will dry darker. It is supposed to be the same colour. I think it's a classic cream. It's a Torben's colour, but I've mixed it with the Dulux paint, and I've used it like on the veranda there, everywhere the veranda's painted cream. That's this Dulux Weather Shield, an older version of it. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way it's looking, and now I'll get one more coat on it in, I think it's recoat in about an hour. We'll see. I'll read into that, but probably another hour, and I'll bring you back for another look once put the second coat on. Probably won't look that different in the camera, but it'll be done and you can have a look. And yeah, the next time this afternoon I'll give the aircon installer a call and get him out to finish putting that aircon in, and we'll be done. This part of the wall here, I was in a hurry to seal it, and I didn't want to waste time masking up that window because I didn't want to get mortar all over it. So when I do, I have to strip the paint off down here and paint all the way along there anyway, because all that's not looking the best. As you can see down here, it's all cracking off as well, so that's going to need another paint. So once I strip all that paint off and seal that, I'm going to have to bag that all again as well. So I'll bag that at the same time and then paint that all together. But I wanted this wall done. I want to get this air conditioner in, so then we can, when days I can't work outside, I can continue on the butler's pantry inside and start the kitchen work, because I need the room that I'm keeping clear for the air conditioner installer in this room to move all the furniture from the lounge down to here to give me room to work up there. Yeah, it's a juggling act, but yeah, we'll get there. So this is nearly done. One more coat and ready for the aircon to go in. All right, guys, I'll bring you back once I put the second coat on for a look. It should, unfortunately, probably won't look much different. But I might show you once it's dry before I apply it, in case we can see any grey brickwork coming through. and then again once I paint it. Alrighty, I'll see you soon. Okay, so it's about 2 hours later. Paint is dry, and I have missed a few spots in there, but I'm going to give it next coat now. I did get pretty good coverage, so I really can't see any of the grey from the brickwork coming through. It sort of looks okay. It's really come through okay, so yeah, I think the next coat will go on pretty easily again, and then we'll be all sorted. I've already called the aircon bloke. I think he's going to come this week, he said, Thursday, so another couple of days, and we'll have it all done. Alright, I'll show you once I've finished the second coat. Okay, so second coat has now been applied, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, I'll be happier when all that's done. It's all the same, but no, I'm pretty happy with it. It's come up really well. I don't know what's showing up on camera, but yeah, you can see all the bagging is coming through. The paint, it's a lot more predominant now, the bagging marks, and I think it looks pretty good. I'm not too worried about, though you have got texture here. I went a bit easier there because the air conditioner is going to be here, and that's going to get covered up anyway, so I didn't try and put too much there. Tried to put more where you would see it. I actually started there first in case it didn't really work out too well, or it would get hidden. But yeah, it's come up pretty good, and it's a very random sort of marking, same as on my other walls. I mean, you look at these over here, and it's a very sort of just random stroking. Obviously they were better at me than I am, but it sort of all blends in the end, and yeah, no, I'm pretty happy with it. Pretty happy. It's really white, tends to dry more of an eggshell color similar to that. So yeah, hopefully it dulls down a bit once it's dried, because yeah, well, I did notice on the first coat it dulled down, so should be good to go, and we can continue on with the Renos now on the inside. Because it's winter, I'm sort of going to take a break from the outside unless I get stuck with stuff to do, because I want to get the framework done for the butler's pantry, and then we're going to get some people in to sort of give us some ideas and a quote for bench tops and cabinets, as I'm not going to be building the kitchen myself. It's sort of a little out of my league, I think, and being too long without a kitchen is going to be a very hard thing to do when the whole family's still living here. So it'd be like we've sort of been looking at the caboodle range at Bunnings. We had gone to IKEA to have a look at their range, but yeah, we sort of didn't really like the quality of IKEA, and we've bought some caboodle cabinets for the laundry, and they are quite good. I mean, as good as chipboard and can be, which is, they're pretty much all made like that now. So yeah, I want to do that framework on the inside, and then we can get some people in and they can measure up and give us an idea of what we're up for once we sort of decide on bench tops and finalise on how many cupboards, drawers, shelves. Yeah, we'll sort all that out when that comes along, and then once that's built and I'm waiting for whatever to do with the kitchen, I'll then come outside here and keep potting along there, because we can't really do much for the kitchen until I get that butler's pantry framework up, so we've been told. Anyway, that's it for this. I'll come back and give you a look once I've peeled off all the tape and had the aircon installed. He's coming in a couple of days, so that shouldn't be too long away. And yeah, we'll keep plugging away at it. Cheers. All right, here we go, guys. We're all pretty much finished. I do have to put a light back up there, but there's no rush for that. We've got the aircon installed finally. That is working great. And we've taken all the tape off. I filled the gap between the lintel and the window there, and see, painted the same colour as the aluminium frame, and it's come up really well. Really happy with it. We'll go have a look on the inside now as well. Okay, and here it is on the inside. The missus has already moved in. Going for a closer look. Got the inside part of the unit on the inside, and we're all complete, even with a white blind there that I cut down off the old window, which was a bit wider because it went all the way to that edge there. But yeah, I just did a test cut on my drop saw, and the first one, the test cut worked really well. So then I measured it up for the actual cut length that I needed, and bang, done. Through the whole lot of the blind, and even the material, and it didn't fray or anything. It gave me a really nice clean cut. So there's a tip. But there we go. We're all finished in here, and we just got to now bring some stuff down, mainly the TV and the TV unit from up the other end of the house. We're going to bring that down here so I can then work on the butler's pantry up the other end, and stay tuned for that one. So just hang around, and I'll show some before and after shots at the end, just before the end of the video, coming up right now. Cheers, and thanks for following. Bye bye.